Cool. It says we're recording now. So let me share my screen. No, not this one. Can you see my screen with the Gitaly overview and the terminal, or am I sharing a different screen?
No, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So today I just kind of wanted to talk about Gitaly cluster and how to set up a Gitaly cluster and basically all the nodes that are involved. It's there's a handful of nodes. It's relatively straightforward. There's just quite a few steps at first. So the big difference between Gitaly and Gitaly cluster is obviously more resilient. It's an active cluster configuration instead of just having a single Gitaly node. We use Gitaly for all of our Git operations. This just allows more high availability and better performance. So at minimum, you're going to want one Postgres node. For the purpose of this demo, I just have one Postgres node. I'm going to do another video here soon where we scale out to from a single omnibus node to, that's running an embedded database to a Postgres cluster. But for the purpose of this demo, we're just going to use one Postgres node. You can have a PG bouncer node, and it's recommended, but you don't explicitly have to use one, especially for the purpose of a demo. It's kind of small, so I did seed the instance with test data, but there's not a whole lot of operations that really require PG bouncer. Plus, I kind of was going to cover PG bouncer with Postgres. You need three. I don't think you actually need 3 Prefect nodes, but it's best practices. So I would do 3 Prefect nodes and 3 Gitaly nodes, and then 1 load balancer. And in this case, I used GCP because that's where all my nodes live. So the Prefect nodes work as the coordinator to go to Gitaly. And then obviously over here where we have shards, these are 3 Gitaly nodes. The application server running GitLab would be somewhere over here. And then this is your database, which is the data store for Prefect. If you were going to use PG Bouncer, it would go somewhere right in here to work as the DB connection pool between Prefect and Postgres. Before you get started with any of this setup, I would make secrets for all of these because you're going to need them later as you fill in values. And it's also important to, for all of the nodes that you're going to set up, you want to set up just steps 1 and 2. You don't want to actually sign into any of the nodes except for the application server, obviously, because that's your front end. But everything else, just go through steps 1 and 2 of the GitLab installation steps, which is basically just setting up the location to pull down the package, pulling down the package and installing it, but not signing in. So as far as the actual node setup is concerned, you'll have to basically apply values like this. So you have, we're defining the role as Postgres role, Prometheus we're disabling, Alert Manager we're disabling, PG Bouncer exporter we're disabling, Redis exporter, GitLab exporter. We're basically just disabling all the stuff that we don't need for the Postgres node because we're just going to run just Postgres. So then we have our listen address 5432. And this is where you'll have to create a hash. So let me go over to.
Excuse me.
Salud. So over here, I've basically created my password hash. And I did that with, if we go to the Postgres setup. Yeah, I ran this command right here, sudo GitLab CTL PG password MD5 GitLab, and that gave me this big hash over here that I provided in my GitLab RB. And then I had to figure out what network all my nodes are on. So I did an if config to see that they were on 10.128. And then I went over to load balancing, or sorry, I went over to the oh gosh. Yeah. So then I had to just find the subnet. So it's a /24. So I just grabbed that and put this in here. And then you just want to disable auto migrate as well. So I went through that and then ran reconfigure on just this one PostgreSQL node. So once that's set up, then we can start working on setting up the Prefect nodes. We have 3 Prefect nodes. They're all basically configured the same, with the exception of on this first node, I've made it the deploy node. So, but before I did that, I had to create a role inside of the database to be able to connect to it from Prefect. So this is, you could basically just copy and paste this as long as you swap out your Prefect SQL password and your Prefect SQL password hash, which is values that you have to generate on your own. So once you have that, then, and you've authorized the Prefect user, then you can actually go through the configuration for Prefect. So we define the Postgres host here. If we didn't want to communicate directly with Postgres and we wanted to use a connection pool, we would point it to the PG Bouncer host. And we would also have to give the PG Bouncer user access here as well. Let's see. So then this, basically everything else in here is pretty much standard. And then down here, we turn off all the services. So we've disabled Gitaly, Postgres, Redis, Puma Sidekick, GitLab, Prometheus, Alert Manager, Grafana, GitLab Exporter, GitLab costs, and then we just explicitly enabled Prefect here. And so, yeah, so over here, you can see that I have auto migrate equals true because that's the deploy node. But if we look at, if you look at the deploy mode, sorry, another node that is not the deploy node, I have it marked as false. So only on that first node do you need to have it marked as true. Yeah, and so once you're done with that, then you can run reconfigure, and you shouldn't get any errors, but if you do, it's probably a syntax thing. Finally, we get to Gitaly here. On the Gitaly node, oops, we want to disable all the services again. So Postgres, Redis, Nginx, Grafana, so on. We're explicitly enabling Gitaly. We're enabling Prometheus for metrics. Auto migrate is false. It's like that on all the nodes. And then the listen address is just 0000 at 8075 port. The Prometheus listen address is same thing. These are just the default values. And then you make a super secret auth token. And then I meant to comment that out. And then, yeah, you just fill in the data directory paths, which I believe are all default here. I just put in the names of the nodes. So once you've done that, then you have to reconfigure, and it sets those nodes up as Gitaly nodes. But we need to set up a load balancer on top of that to make to sort of handle all the distribution of work. So you have to do two things in your whichever you decide to use. I prefer. I mean, if the servers are on Google, just use Google services. But you could also use HA proxy. You could use whatever you want. So I've made a load balancer here, but the important thing first is you have to make an instance group. So make an instance group to include your 3 nodes inside here. So you see I've created this group called Gitaly instance group. It's pretty straightforward. You basically just add the 3 nodes and the port number that you want to listen on. And then go back over to load balancer. Yep. And so I've just made this load balancer that has a health check on port 8075 because that's the Gitaly port. And so this basically just makes sure that everything is healthy. Looks like we had some successes and failures earlier, but at the moment, everything is healthy. So with that said, so we've covered the load balancer, we have Gitaly, we have Prefect, and then we have the Postgres node that we've touched so far. So all of those are set up. Once you apply the values in GitLab RB, you just run reconfigure and everything is ready to go more or less. So what we can do now is we can talk about migrating from embed Gitaly to Gitaly cluster. If I go over to Omnibus instance, you can see I still have everything running over here. Gitaly is right here. But what we want to do, and this is the part that I haven't completed because I wanted to do it in real time. So I've added a bunch of things to our GitLab RB here. Besides, by default, the only thing that's added, because we're just running out of the box GitLab, is just the external URL right here. But I've gone ahead and added all of the other Gitaly values. So first of all, we're explicitly turning Gitaly off on the application node. And then we're pointing the Git data directors to the Gitaly address. Now the address is actually the load balancer, which should be, yeah, right here, 10.128.20.13 over port 2305. So we're actually pointing to the load balancer, then the load balancer will then distribute work to the various different Gitaly nodes. Provided a token, another secret token for the GitLab shell. And then I have my static configs. So I pointed to all 3 Prefect nodes over 9652, and then all 3 Gitaly nodes over 9236. So that should be all we have to do. We're disabling Gitaly, and we're saying Gitaly is going over to this new address, and here's all the resources behind it. So with that, we should be able to run reconfigure, and this won't blow up in my face. We'll see. Thinking positive thoughts. Well, that seems positive. Okay. So once this completes, we should essentially be on Gitaly Cluster, but we can poke around on the nodes and see if things have moved over once it's done. Anybody have any questions while we wait?
How much time does it usually take to get to the step?
It took me, once I had my nodes deployed, it took me probably a good 90 minutes of work, maybe 2 hours of work. I went through all the documentation. Basically everything on this page is transposed from, yeah. So everything on this page is transposed from, gosh, no, I clicked on the wrong link, I apologize. So I should say most of what I put together on this notes page came from this page. So I basically just followed this, the configure Gitaly cluster steps. There's just a fair amount of information that's on this page that isn't necessarily relevant, like immediately relevant. It's just if you, like, for example, if you want to run it behind TLS or something, or you want to use certificates, like in this case, I'm not using any certificates, I'm not using any TLS. So it was pretty straightforward to set up. I just had to kind of parse through all the steps to sort of weed out what I wanted to talk about and what I didn't want to talk about, because there's a lot of information on this page. But from start to finish, let's say 2.5 hours of actual setup time. That was kind of in between working on tickets and other stuff, if that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I think I could probably do it faster if I had to do it again, but I just kind of wanted to make sure I went through and had all the right values before, doing anything too crazy. But so it looks like we finished here, and then so if I do status, should not have Gitaly running anymore. Yep, Gitaly's gone. And so then here should be able to stand by just a second. Let's see any, let's go under hashed, maybe there's some data that's written there. Well, try seeding some data to see if it creates something there. Oh my gosh, wrong keyboard. Yeah. Oh. Oh, okay. It's just trying to see the same data that I already created. Yeah, I mean, that's more or less it. I was trying to, we'll have to create, let's see if I can just create some data in the UI. Stand by. Just waiting for the omnibus instance to respond. That's interesting. Oops. Okay, that's not positive. Uh, okay. Okay, Gitaly deadline exceeded. Huh. Interesting. So we're getting this deadline exceeded error message. Huh. Wonder why? Failed to pick subchannel.
Could you try refreshing the website? Maybe it works now.
Huh. I wonder if it's a token problem. I'm gonna restart GitLab. I don't think that will, I just want to rule out anything weird. Just going through to looking at all my settings again.
In the previous one. Yeah.
Over here?
Yeah. No, the one before. The third one, maybe. No, that's the one. That's the one.
Okay.
For the token for Prefect virtual storages for Gitaly 2. After the token itself, there's a comma missing, I think.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
In some spot, if that's true, this works.
Let me make sure. So that was, let me make sure it's not like that elsewhere. Yeah, it's like that elsewhere. Sweet.
It looks like it's missing on 3 as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Just while we're waiting, if you got can you send a copy of those RB files in their final state to Doc?
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't sure if I should put just straight up RB files in there or just sanitized files. But yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, just so people have a kind of like this works template.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I think I pulled those straight out of the examples. Hmm. Hmm. Why that deadline exceeded? Huh. Yeah, I don't know. That's we have to have a part 2. Hmm.
Let's try to debug it and see.
Yeah.
Get the full error message and post it into the chat so people can search for it while we.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is just we see this a lot. The deadline exceeded error message.
Well, this is good, yeah, because it's a real life problem, and it means
Yeah.
people can get exposed to what, So put in the grep commands you use to identify it.
Yeah.
Put in the. This is all part of this isn't wrong or right. It's just part of the process because it's a very natural thing to occur. Customers counter these errors.
Yeah.
And put in the first one before it. So if we can debug it together, it's more meaningful for the folks. Certainly for me.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
There was a different exception message last time, I think.
Yeah, there was another exception message about which is gone now.
There we go.
The-
Failed to connect all addresses.
You found it? Okay. There it is.
Let me ask, did you try to do Gitaly check, the last command for Gitaly check to confirm the application server can actually reach all the Gitalys?
Yes, I believe so. That's the one that you let me make sure that we're talking about the same thing. You mean, is it on this page? I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing.
It's on the documentation.
This one, verify that Prefect can reach Postgres?
Yeah, there is the prefect, and also there is also the Rails, from the Rails application, you run the Gitaly check. Okay, I set it up yesterday, so let me confirm and give you the command.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
You mean this one? No, this is. You mean run this Prefect
from the
checker from the.
yeah, from the GitLab hosts, can you try to run that? I've pasted there on the
Oh,
chat.
yeah. From the
From the
application
host.
server?
Yeah, application server. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's that same deadline exceeded. Huh. Let me look at my configuration here.
Yeah, I think now what you're supposed to check is that configuration of prefect. Can you
Prefect?
verify, yeah, prefect, whether it can reach from Gitaly, whether it can reach the prefect node? Is it the
You
other
want to
way
see if I
around or
can
what?
reach one of these Gitaly nodes from Prefect?
Yeah, there is also the command for ping. First we do the ping, just to confirm that one. Yeah, can you, the one which you have copied there, can you try and land that one?
Yeah, it looks like it's healthy on Prefect 1.
Gitaly is okay. So I think now the application server is probably not reaching the prefetch. I don't know how to check that. Okay, 1 minute.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Kate. Awesome.
So I think you can also run this
Oh, yeah.
on the Gitaly. Okay.
Oh, and the Gitaly nodes.
And that for their nodes, you have to do it on prefetch.
So you want me to run this on, sorry,
The one
Prefect?
which I've shared there, you can do the Gitaly checks.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
for
one.
that one which you have shared there is for prefetch nodes.
Okay. The one that you shared is for,
Yeah, from the Gitaly nodes, just to
Okay.
confirm everything is okay.
okay, sure. Gitaly, okay.
That one is okay. Okay, that's okay. So they cannot reach the application side.
What about the load balancer?
Yeah, the load balancer. Yeah, because application you go through the load balancer to prefetch, so that it seems healthy. The port
I have
should
no
be
note
2305.
affinity. 30, I'm sorry, can you say that again?
The port should be 2305.
Okay.
Yeah, because I assume is you're connecting the load balancer to prefetch, not to Gitaly. What instance group did you create for the load balancer?
I
Was
just
it the
created,
prefects or the Gitaly?
I created, this is for, I think I see I think I understand. This is for Gitaly. I didn't create
Yeah, it should point to prefetch, not
Prefect.
Gitaly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go. Okay.
Yeah,
Got
so
it. So
maybe
let me go
need
back to that
create-
instance group and change it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I should go to prefetch and the port should be 2305.
That makes sense. Yeah, because it has to go through Prefect before it hits Gitaly. That makes sense. Just waiting for it to do its thing.
So yeah, if you can you include this kind of debugging in your doc as well, Gabe?
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah, absolutely.
it's actually really useful. It gives people an idea of debugging.
Yeah, well, and load balancers aren't the one thing that are the only thing that we don't explicitly cover in our documentation too. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe it's worth a doc issue, as well.
The thing with, I mean, we could do that. We could add some sort of helpful hint or something for using this specific type of load balancer, but our current documentation says to just use a load balancer, and then it gives examples like AWS or GCP or like an F5 physical load balancer, software load balancer like HA proxy. Man, this is taking forever. Wow. Still there.
Maybe you can create a new one.
Yeah, I'll just make a new
instant
group.
group. Yeah.
Real Gitaly.
We got it prefetch. Just
Yeah, yeah. That's probably better. Somehow, I didn't mean to do this, but I made all these nodes in South Carolina. Not really sure why. Don't care about us.
I think you should go to unmanaged. I think the best one is unmanaged.
Yeah, where
group.
is the? This is not.
Click on an unmanaged one.
Oh, right on the side over here. Yeah.
Yeah, on the side there. Yeah, right the
Yeah.
side.
Okay, this makes more sense. It's like this doesn't look like what I saw a minute ago. Okay, so it just populates the only subnet I have in that VPC, and
And the groups.
no instances. There we go.
And I select the prefetch ones.
Oh, I don't.
Show more. Show more. There down. Yeah. And you can select all the three.
2305.
Yeah, 2305. So prefetch node, it's the name. So
Oh yeah.
prefetch port and 2305. And maybe put a hyphen.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, something I noted yesterday is that the file does not allow, so your health checks may not work. So you need to add the 2305 in the firewall. Yeah.
Oh, in the firewall. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's something I noted yesterday after testing.
Okay. So I got that. So let's go back to, let's just do the firewall real quick. Firewall insights, or where did you go to
search? I usually search it there. I think.
Oh, you just search
Just
firewall.
search it. Yeah, search firewall is easier.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And then pick that one There is one network that has a lot of ports. So Ingress that has a lot of ports. Wait for it.
This one,
Yeah, that one. Just add 2305. It's not
this one,
there.
right?
Yeah, edit on that. Yeah,
Okay.
2305.
Doesn't let me edit it. I don't.
No, you click on the name.
Oh,
there.
you mean just, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
click
okay.
on there, and then you can edit. Just add it there.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that tip. I really appreciate that. That could have, I don't want to navigate away until it's done. There we go. 2305. Cool. So let's go back to our load balancer, make a new
Yeah.
load balancer. Call this prefect. Okay. Okay, so for the back end,
The prefect. Yeah.
and the health check is important. Otherwise, your nodes are just going to get marked down and they're not going to work.
Yeah, true.
Okay, front configuration. Yeah, I think that looks good. Single port, no global access, non-shared IP. So once it creates this, then I'll grab the IP and pop it into a GitLab RB. All right, cool. So we got our prefect and this IP 10.128.20.14/2305. Reconfigure. We uh-oh. I don't realize. Oh, I misspelled configure. Thinking good thoughts. Great. Okay, so now let's look for 500 errors. This last one was at 33 after, so it's been a while. Okay, so that seems positive. Let's look at okay, see if we can load the UI. Woohoo, I'll take a 502 over a 500 any day.
Can you try to check the Gitaly again, just to
Yeah.
confirm whether we still get the error you're getting before?
Sure. No, sorry, wrong. It was, let me go back to your command.
Not that one, the Gitaly check. It's there on chat, but let me try to paste it again.
No, let's look at the API error. Oh, that's the 502 though. That might just be because it's starting up. Yay!
Yeah, that one is because it's starting up. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so then we can come over here. Go into shouldn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, but because I already have all these repos, it should be copying all this data over, right? There's not a command that I have to manually invoke to copy everything over, at least that I saw. Is that right?
Yeah, I think because Prefect has to resync once you're doing all that. So Prefect you do the resyncing and copying over to Gitaly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's essentially this demo then. So I'm going to put some additional notes of what we did to make this work. And then I'll drop, as you asked, John, I'll drop my actual configurations in here. Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Well, we still have a few minutes.
No, just as I said, Gabe, it would just be good to kind of document that we got 500 errors. We did this. Next, no, just kind of to revisit the troubleshooting process with the commands, and to give
Absolutely.
people a feel of what to do in those types of circumstances, and then explain what we did, or you folks, you and David did, regarding the load balancer ports.
Okay.
The part with the health check, it's important. I don't know if that's documented, but assume not, since it's through GCP, you have to make sure the health checks set up. The firewall has the port 2035 open, and those types of things, because they're all very pertinent to
so
people who follow.
What I'll do is I'll make so I'm going to change these right here to my actual values, and then I will make I'll change the screenshots also for the load balancer, and then I'll add a troubleshooting section down here where we can go over all the stuff that we covered in the call. So yeah,
well, that was very useful. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I hope that you found this useful. Gitaly isn't that scary. It's other than the load balancer. But yeah, I hope that was useful to all of you. I didn't share my video of myself during the whole call because I thought I might have a slow internet connection. So anyways, if there's no other questions, we'll conclude the call, and I'll update the notes, and I'll probably drop a link to the notes in the support chat. Yeah, thanks very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Gabriel.
Cheers.